Hello everyone, my name is Tae Nam. I'm working for the Graduate School of Governance, Sungkyunkwan University, Korea. The Module 3, I will introduce the Module 3, the title. Module 3 is titled Digital Government Issues and Change Management. This module can be described a discussion, the recent issues related to digital government. This module will cover 4 dimensions. 4 dimensions include data, institution, technology, and human beings. First, we will discuss how to open data in terms of standards and principles. And second, we will discuss governance systems of digital government. And third, we will discuss the accessibility, usability, interoperability of digital government. And then final issue will include the various issues of digital citizenship, such as digital literacy and digital inclusion. This module has 4 objectives for discussion. First, you need to understand the nature of open data standards and principles. And second, you need to understand governance system of digital government. And then you need to understand the interoperability and the usability issues of digital government. And the first, you need to understand emerging issues related to digital inclusion and digital citizenship. This is structure of the Module 3. The first sub-module is open data in terms of standards and principles. We will discuss open data in terms of standards and principle issues. The first topic of Module 3 will introduce open data principles and standards. We will cover 6 principles and standards. First, 8 principles of open government data. And second, open data standard policy in 2012. And G8 open data charter in 2013. And then open government partnerships, so-called OGP, Open Data Working Group operation in 2013. And then we'll move to International Open Data Charter in 2015. And then we will cover D5 Charter in Korea in 2016. This is not all open data principles and standards in the world, but these 6 open data principles and standards are more important than others. I will introduce the 8 principles of open government data. There are 8 principles. The first principle is complete. All public data is made available. And second principle, primary. Data is as collected at the source with the highest possible level of granularity. And the third principle, timely-ish. Data is made available as quickly as possible. First principle, accessibility. Data is available to the widest range of users for the widest range of purposes. Fifth principle, machine processable. Data is reasonably structured to allow automated processing. Sixth principle, non-discriminatory. Data is available to anyone with no requirement of registration, which means there is no discrimination. Seventh principle, non-proprietary. Data is available in a format over which no entity has exclusive control. The final principle of open government data, license-free. Data is not subject to any copyright, patent, trademark, or trade secret regulation. The second principle of open data is Open Data Charter. The Open Data Charter is a collaboration between governments and organizations to working to open up data based on a shared set of principles. Currently, 71 national governments adopted this Open Data Charter, and 52 international organizations endorses this Open Data Charter. There are 6 principles. The first principle, open by default. The term government data includes is not limited to data held by national, regional, local, and city governments, international government bodies, and other types of institutions in the wider public sector. The second principle is timely and comprehensive. It may require time and human resource and also technical resource to identify data. So it should be timely and comprehensive. Third principle is accessible and usable. Accessibility and usability is a very important principle of open data. The first principle is compatibility and interoperability. For most effective and useful data should be easy to compare within and between sectors, and also across geographic locations, and also over time. That's compatibility and interoperability. Fifth principle, for improved governance and citizen engagement, the rise of open data strengthens the governance of and trust in public institutions, reinforces government obligation to respect the rule of law, and provides a transparent and accountable foundation to improve decision-making and enhance the provision of public service. That's for improved governance and citizen engagement. And the final principle of Open Data Charter is inclusive development and innovation. The more governments and the more citizens and the more civil society and the more public sector organization will use open data, the greater the social and economic benefits that will be generated. The second topic of Module 3 is titled Governance and Institutions for Digital Transformation. This topic is about the governance system and also institutional system about digital transformation. We will discuss these issues. The second topic of Module 3 is Governance and Institutions for Digital Transformation. I'd like to talk about transitions of e-government recently. OECD recently published a paper which includes 6 types of transition in e-government. I will introduce 6 types of transitions. First, from digitization of existing processes to digital by design. There's a new trend in e-government. The second transition from an information-centered government to a data-driven public sector. So information-centered has been emphasized in information society. Current intelligent society, we will call this kind of transition is data-driven public sector. Third transition is about transition from closed processes in data to open by default. Open to the public by default. That is a very important principle of open government. Fourth transition is a transition about from a government-led to a user-driven administration. User-driven is a key. The government administration is based on government-led operation. No. Currently, user-driven administration is a more important keyword in the government innovation. The fifth transition from government as a service provider toward government as a platform for public value creation. Platform is a new keyword for public value co-creation. Co-creation means the creation of public value together with citizens and the public. And the final transition indicates transition from reactive to proactive policymaking and service delivery. The role of government is not only reaction, but also now proaction, proactive policymaking. Proactive is keyword in a new transition of e-government. Governance recommendations for digital government are proposed like this. There are more recommendations, but these three are key recommendations among others. First, the government needs to define a clear governance framework for digital government. Define clear governance framework. If not, there's overlapping and ambiguous and unclearness in roles, missions, and goals. And government needs to update the legal and regulatory frameworks. Update legal and regulatory frameworks. There are so many emerging technologies and data into existing legal safeguards. This is the issue. And third recommendation is to develop an overarching policy to support the development of a data-driven public sector. Develop overarching policy to support the development of a data-driven public sector. Keyword is data-driven. So government operation and innovation is based on data in this age of big data. This is the principles for digital government strategy. To drive this transformation, the following strategies can be built upon some principles. I can suggest 4 approaches. First one, information-centric approach. And second thing, shared platform approach. Government can play as a platform, but not only platform, but also shared platform. Third principle is customer-centric approach. And the final principle is a platform of security and privacy. Security and privacy is classical and traditional issue, important issue. Like yesterday, these days also put emphasis on security and privacy. The third topic of Module 3 is digital government technologies in terms of interoperability and usability. This topic will include interoperability issues and usability issues in the recent digital government. The third topic of Module 3 is about interoperability and usability. The first issue is interoperability. Why e-government interoperability is so important? So this slide shows why e-government interoperability is so important. There are 6 reasons. First, e-government interoperability is necessary for seamless service. The second reason is interoperability can be a facilitator of innovation and transformation through e-government. And the third reason is interoperability enables system integration and information sharing, and then cross-boundary collaboration. Interoperability expedites responses across multiple agencies in cross-boundary emergency networks. And interoperability fundamental to the success of connected government goals, which are collaborative, effective, and efficient government and the delivery of seamless government services. And e-government interoperability is key and necessary to open government. interoperability is pivotal and very critical to open government. Government Interoperability Framework, so-called GIF. GIF has gained keen attention from academics and also practitioners across the world. This is kind of multi-dimensional framework. So government interoperability has multiple dimensions. I can introduce three dimensions. The first dimension is organizational interoperability. So interoperability is organizational issue. It's about business process. Organizational interoperability is concerned with the coordination and alignment of business process and information architecture that span intra and inter-organizational boundaries. That is the definition of organizational interoperability. And second issue is semantic interoperability, so-called information interoperability. Information interoperability enables systems to combine received information with other information resource and to process it in a meaningful manner. The third dimension of interoperability is technical interoperability. This is about technicalities of connecting computer systems for the purpose of exchanging information or using functionality. So these three dimensions of interoperability is key dimension issues of GIF, so-called Government Interoperability Framework. Interoperability is also an issue of governance, but there are many challenges for interoperability governance. Three challenges are more important than others. The first challenge is bureaucratic challenge. Bureaucratic cultures sometimes do not value openness and cooperation because public agencies sometimes resist to the innovative changes and also interoperability across other agencies. Second challenge is compliance. This issue is about how to guarantee that multiple agencies will actually follow interoperability. That is compliance challenge. And third challenge issue is enforcement challenge. Government needs to care about how to enforce extensive use of interoperability framework across agencies. So interoperability is not an easy issue. There are three different kinds of challenges regarding interoperability governance. I will move to usability issues. While interoperability is about government insight management for better operation and better use of e-government techniques and e-government software and hardware, usability issue is for citizens' real use of e-government. So there are very different frameworks to evaluate usability. There are 6 issues are the basic evaluation items. The first one is intuitive design. The second issue is ease of learning. The third issue is about efficiency of use. The first issue is about memorability. Users need to easily remember the website structure. And frequency and severity of errors, technical errors. That is also evaluation item. And the final issue of evaluation of usability is subjective satisfaction. Satisfaction is always subjective matter, not objective. E-government design principles are provided by United Kingdom government. They provided 6 principles: useful, usable, desirable, findable, accessible, and credible. Usefulness is about content should be original and fulfill a need. Usability issue is about easy to use. Desirableness is image, identity, brand, and other design elements are used to evoke emotion and appreciation. Findability is about more navigable and locatable on-site and off-site. Accessibility is about better accessibility to people with disabilities. So there is no discrimination. Credibility issue is about more trust, more believability in what you tell them. United Kingdom government, they also provided 8 principles related to e-government design. So this is about how to design e-government. There are 8 principles. First one, start with user needs. Second one, do less. This is about efficiency. Third principle, design with data. We have a bunch of data set, public data and private data. We can use the data, and the data-driven design is possible. The first principle, do the hard work to make it simple. The simpler, the better. Fifth principle, iterate, then iterate again, which means repetition is always good in web page design, e-government design. In written language, iteration or repetition is not good virtue, but iteration is good virtue, can be a good virtue in e-government design. Sixth principle, this is a very important notion. This e-government is for everyone. Not only for the young generation, but also for everyone. So there must not exist the digital divide issues anymore. The seventh principle, understand context. So e-government design is contextualized. And the final principle, e-government design is built on digital service, not websites themselves. So this web page, this e-government should seek for delivering digital services. That's the original and ultimate goal. The final issue of Module 3 will be digital citizenship and digital inclusion. This is a very important issues to understand the demographics related to digital government. The final topic of Module 3 is about digital citizenship and digital inclusion. Digital citizenship can be conceptualized as digital competency, digital literacy, and digital inclusion. So digital citizenship has three components: digital competency and digital literacy, and also digital inclusion. So digital citizenship is a multi-aspect concept. And this sub-module, we will discuss digital inclusion in terms of national policies and programs. And this module also understands digital competency framework and also some Korean recent case. And this sub-module will discuss emerging issues and emerging policies of trustworthy society made through digital government and transformation. And this sub-module finally will suggest some recommendations for trustworthy artificial intelligence. Digital inclusion. This is a very important notion and also key issue of e-government. Digital inclusion is defined the activities necessary to ensure that all individuals and communities, including the most disadvantaged, have access to and use of ICTs. So this is a more advanced version of digital divide concept. There are 5 elements of digital inclusion. First one, affordable, robust broadband internet service. And second thing, internet-enabled devices that meet the needs of the users. For example, smartphones or tablet PCs. Devices are also important elements. And third element is access to digital literacy training. Some people need to train because they don't have any capacity or capability to use devices. And the first element of digital inclusion is technical support. And the fifth element of digital inclusion is application of online content designed to enable and encourage self-sufficiency, participation, and collaboration. These 5 elements is important for digital inclusion. Digital competency has 3 elements: skills, knowledge, and attitudes. So digital competency is a function of skills, knowledge, and attitudes. It has 5 elements like this. First one, competence of information. Second, communication. Competence of communication. So people can communicate in digital environment, they can share resources, and they can interact with others. Third, competence of content creation. People can create and edit new content and integrate previous knowledge. There can be a competence of content creation. Competence of safety. Safety is about personal protection, data protection, and digital identity protection. The final competence is about problem solving. People can identify digital needs and they make informed decisions, and also they can creatively use technologies. Next issue is about digital literacy. Digital literacy have 7 elements. So 7 different types of elements. First issue is information literacy. Information literacy is ability to find, interpret, evaluate, manage, and share information. Second literacy is media literacy. People can critically read and creatively produce communication in media. Third element of digital literacy is communications and collaboration. People can participate in digital networks. First element of digital literacy is career and identity management. This is ability to manage digital reputation and online identity. And ICT tech literacy. This is ability to adapt, and use digital devices. And next literacy is learning skills. People can study and learn effectively in technology-rich environments. And digital scholarship. People can participate in emerging academic practice depending on digital systems. This is the final slide of Module 3. There are some policy directions for trustworthy artificial intelligence. As you know, artificial intelligence is a new concept, and also it has gained new attention from e-government practitioners. We need to think about how to build human capacity and prepare for labor market transformation. First, governments need to establish comprehensive, flexible, and fair training programs along the working life, and also governments need to empower people to effectively use and interact with AI systems across the breadth of applications. So we need to know how to interact with AI system, collaboration between AI and human beings. And the second direction for trustworthy artificial intelligence is development of policies supporting access to new opportunities in the labor market, and prepare plans to ensure fair transition for workers. And the final direction of policy for trustworthy artificial intelligence is to improve the public awareness by promoting benefits from AI. The public need to know what kind of benefit can earn from using AI and knowing AI. Thank you very much for your attention. I hope you understand very well the digital government issues and also change management of digital inclusion. Thank you.